It's a very, very traditional job. We're still using an anvil, a hammer, a fire, but we are lucky we've now got science up our sleeves and a slightly more modern approach to shoeing horses. Back in the UK, most horses were shod with this type of a shoe. It's called fullered concave, so the fullering is the groove and the concave is the chamfered edge. The reason why we used to use a lot of these shoes is because it would give you a lot of grip on roads and not be particularly heavy. The problem is it gives you so much grip that now horses don't tend to work on roads so much. They tend to work on surfaces, in sand schools, in arenas, and the products that they use on the surfaces now are so good to really look after these horses' legs and movements. The problem with concave is that they've done quite a lot of studies in Europe, is that it really grips. So the horse ends up twisting round before the feet stop gripping the surface. So I tend to use a lot of concave now in front because the front end's a lot freer, whereas the back end is doing all of the work, all of the power. So we tend to shoe similar to how they shoe on the continent. And I tend to use, it's a European style shoe. It's called just a 3/4 fullered. It's a flatter style shoe. And that way it sits on top of the surface and can move, can rotate much easier. So it puts a lot less tension and torsion down through the hock. You know, it's for us, it's just a way, anything that we can do to try and keep these horses performing at the level that they're competing at, it can only be a good thing. So that's why, Sam tries to, and all of the other competition men and women will try and surround themselves with a team of experts that can really help behind the scenes just push that performance, push performance. So that's what we're after, and longevity. These guys, we want them to be competing at top level into their late teens. That's what we want. We don't want them to be, fantastic as 4, 5, 6-year-olds and then it doesn't matter. There's a duty of care to these horses. The amount of time that goes into them. Everyone, a part of the team, is here, to really try and look after them to the best of our ability for as long as possible. So that's why we've slightly changed our approach to how and what we use on horses' feet here anyway. So this is travel fire. Most farriers now, 99% of us, maybe even more, are all mobile. We do have a traditional forge down here, which we do use. I just thought for the video it might be better having the shoeing truck today. But virtually every farrier in the country will have a fire that they travel around with all day long. It's very well insulated. Unfortunately, my one's a little bit older and a bit more tired, so it's starting to give out at the seams. It does need a little bit of a service, but that's something to do at a later date. Still works fine, but yeah, could do the bit of TLC like the rest of this establishment. So the good thing about the fire is I can heat up steel to a temperature where it's very, very easy to move. And that just gives me more ability to fit individual variations of horses' feet. So, every single foot is completely different to the last one. No horse has a perfect pair. So it just gives me a much easier ride on the anvil. Banging cold steel doesn't do it for me. I want to be able to, and that's why you'll see farriers moving fast, because we're thinking about how much work we can get out of heat, how much work we can get before that heat is now cold. So that's why you see farriers they're not rushing so much, they're just working hard. You will see me go over to the foot and have a burn on. That's a secondary bonus of a hot shoe. It means after I've trimmed, if there's any flaw in my trim, I can have a nice singe on and a perfect union without gaps in between the shoe and the foot. So the shoe shouldn't ever come loose. Like the old boys that used to shoe cold would always say to the owner, give it a couple of days for the shoes to settle in. And that was while the foot bedded down into the shoe, which is equally fine. But again, things slightly move forward. I just don't like heating cold steel. I don't know why you would when you've got perfectly good fire that you can warm it up and make your life easier. So now I'm just going to lay my clips up to what I remember being the angles of that horse's walls. Try and make sure my shoe's level. all the time and start now thinking about that shape of the foot while I was trimming. So I'm trying to put as much in to the first fit via memory as possible. Again, just gently leveling the shoe, making sure she's level. It's just over 5.5, just over 5.5. That's looking good, it's a bit tight on that inside. Just gonna open that up. Great. Carrying picture, I've had this ever since I was an apprentice. It's never worked very well, the shoe will fall off. Everyone laughs at me, but I've had it forever and I'm not getting rid of it. So becoming a farrier normally takes on average about 4 years. I did 3.5 years with a farrier that never got me started. So then started with another chap when I was 19, another farrier, Andrew Castley, and did a 4.5 year apprenticeship with him. Even after doing that duration of time and working very, very hard as an apprentice, I think back then I was one of the best in the country. I missed out on the England team in my first year of the apprenticeship. Because I made 2 shoes out of a pool of 3 shoes for the trial. I made 2 the wrong side, so they didn't get marked. Moving forward, my second year I got on the England apprentice team. The third year I did as well, and the fourth year I captained it. I was also national apprentice that year. I've been national striker. I think I won somewhere in the region of about 50 competitions as an apprentice. After I qualified, I slowed right down with the competing and went about setting up my business. Business was very successful. I did have a young family, and it just didn't ever really give me the time to get back into competing, and I really miss the competitive side of being a farrier. Growing up, I was never very good at anything, but as a farrier, it really allowed me to excel at something that I never thought that I would excel at. Seeing balance and symmetry in a foot and being able to convert that with your hands from a straight piece of steel into a crazy either standard 3/4 shoe or a complete bar shoe, or create anything that I deem fit for an ailment that horse has is a real skill that I'm very proud to have. And it's a real shame that we're losing this skill set in the farriery world. We haven't got the young apprentices coming through like we used to. We're really struggling with the colleges getting the candidates to come in, and just with how modern day life is, no one seems to want to work hard anymore for their living. So it's a bit of a worry as to what's going to happen in the next 10 years with farriery and apprenticeships. You know, I'm one of less than 100 training farriers now in the country. Josh, my apprentice at the moment, my current apprentice, he will be my last. And there's lots and lots of other guys like us that are getting out of training. It costs a lot of money now to train apprentices, with minimum wage, with the amount of money that steel is, and the cost of living. The figures just don't equate for how much we can charge for a set of shoes to actually employing a lad and making that lad or girl a viable asset to our business. So for that reason, so many people are getting out of training, but it's not just our industry, it's every manual industry across the board. And I don't really know where we're going to go from it. I don't quite know what's going to happen to these manual trades. Not everyone can make a living from YouTube. So where I forged that set on the shoe, I'm now just going to remove that bit of horn at the toe of the foot. And now not only have I got the clips to fit, I've also got this set toe to fit as well. So it's a combination of taking a small amount off all 3 areas, make sure the shoe's in the right place. Clips are laid up. Just get tightened up a bit. I think it's a bit like being an electrician, isn't it? Farriers get burnt, electricians get zapped. No, you get fairly used to it. It's normally the scale that, as the outer layer of the shoe cools down faster than the inner layer, so it produces these fine shards of metal which land all over the back of your hands. And so yeah, all of those are hundreds of thousands of burns over the years. So it just turns it red. You get fairly used to it. It still hurts, but
Thank you for watching this short clip of one of our films. If you enjoyed it, there is plenty more. Head over to fieldfoodandcountry.co.uk and become a member today.